Hello everybody, I'm Ramsis.
And I'm TheVespor.
For our second edition of our 2022 special holiday edition episode, it's gonna be Family Ties, a Keaton Christmas Carol. Originally broadcast December 14th, 1983. This is another one of those shows that had Christmas episodes every season, and we picked one that we think is going to be very interesting because we love the whole Ebenezer Scrooge take on thing, and Family Ties had their own. We're going to talk about the show first because we understand there might be a lot of people who don't know what Family Ties is, and this is the portion where we give a little history of the characters and set up what this show is going to be about. Family Ties was on for 7 seasons on the NBC network in the North American market, and it aired from 1982 to 1989, so definitely a long-running show, and it pretty much catapulted the career of Michael J. Fox. Set in Columbus, Ohio, during the Reagan years, parents who were former hippies and are now raising a family of their own with 3 kids, soon be 4 as the show goes along. And that's pretty much how the interaction of the show will be. The kids are very 80s-centric, adapting to the 80s and the more conservative, the more mall-going, the phone-using, the shopping, while the parents are still trying to relive their 60s and their kids are not following the same path. So it's a typical story, but as we mentioned in our breakout character episode, and we encourage all you to watch it, the breakout character Alex was very different, very ultra conservative, and it was like something you haven't seen before. It was your typical sitcom where they had disagreements, but by the end they all got together and worked it out through the plot line of the episode. So we'll talk a little bit about the characters just so you get an idea. The personalities of the characters really will come out very strongly in this episode, actually. So we're going to start with the father of the family, and his name is Stephen Keaton. And I think Vespor is going to have a few things to say about Stephen Keaton because the character is played by Michael Gross. And you're like, who's Michael Gross?
Well, if you don't know who Michael Gross is, you should recognize him from this.
Holy mother of hell!
And he's known as Burt Gummer. By far, probably one of my most favorite characters ever written. And in that, he does play an arch conservative, which is actually kind of funny. And you know what? It just proves how good an actor Michael Gross is.
And Stephen Keaton is a very interesting character because when the show Family Ties started, it really was based on the parents. It was based on Stephen and Elise Keaton, and it was about them, and Alex became a breakout character, as we mentioned. The show changed to now focusing on the kids, but the parents still had a great time in it, and they were in every episode as a focal point. We have Stephen Keaton, who works for a PBS station in Columbus, Ohio.
WKS, you're the one!
He's an ex-hippie who protested, got arrested, part of the whole 60s movement, and now he's just trying to raise a family and stay close to his kids. It's awkward because he wants to have this bond, but the kids want to do their own thing away from the parents. Elise Keaton was played by Meredith Baxter Birney. And you might be, who's Meredith Baxter Birney? She's another famous actress. She's another one of those actresses that did pretty much everything. See, Family Ties was her really big role. She was in shows before Family Ties, believe it or not. Bridget Loves Bernie, Family. And she did many bit parts. Whenever you needed a guest star suddenly to show up, you had Meredith Baxter Birney. She was on everything you could think of.
I mean, you've probably watched a show here in the past 20 years and not even realized she did a voice or had a big part in it.
Exactly. And her role on this show is similar to Stephen Keaton, except she's actually more of the 80s woman. She's hardworking. She's an architect. She's more enforceful. She's more pro-woman, more feminist. So really you can see the changes that were taking place here. You don't mess with her, or she means business. But she's also very liberal, hippie, and wants to make changes to the world. But she has a stern and motherly approach to keeping her kids in line the whole time. So now let's get to the kids. We have 4 kids. We're only going to mention 3 because they only had 3 kids in the second season. And we're going to mention them again. Alex P. Keaton is the star of this episode, the star of the show, played by none other than Michael J. Fox. We're not going to give a whole history lesson on Michael J. Fox. He's one of the biggest 80s stars you can name.
Yeah, if you don't recognize who Michael J. Fox is, maybe you've seen him in this little movie.
Wait a minute, Doc. Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a DeLorean?
The way I see it, if you're gonna build a time machine into a car, why not do it with some style?
He's known for that movie. He's known for Doc Hollywood, Teen Wolf, Sigma Success, The Frighteners, the TV show Spin City, on and on and on. This is Michael J. freaking Fox. You better know who this guy is. Unfortunately, he's suffering from Parkinson's right now, and it's terrible what's happened to him. But he was one of the best actors ever, and we could do a whole video on just Michael J. Fox. But realize, yes, one of the best actors of this time, and he was the star of this TV show hands down. Why was he the star of this TV show, you might ask? Besides the fact that he became a breakout character, his character was so different and extreme and out there and crazy and conservative it was such a contrast to every other character in the show that it stuck out like a sore thumb is what happened here.
He played the stereotypical arch conservative.
He saw zero things wrong with Richard Nixon. He loved Ronald Reagan. He loved everything the Republicans stood for, and he loved money. That was the big deal about Alex Keaton. Money. Whenever you mentioned money, his eyes lighted up, and there was a joke that followed it. His character would do anything, even backstab his family members, even push him out of the way if it came to making money. But that's the lesson Alex always learned at the end, that there's more important things than money, family.
And he was also a very much so needed part of this show, because without him, it doesn't make sense when everybody has the exact same viewpoints. There's no conflict. And the nice thing is, Alex taught his parents something while he still gained knowledge and lessons from his parents. So it was give and take, and that's what made the show fun.
So the next oldest child in line here was Mallory Keaton, Justine Bateman, who played the character. Now, Justine Bateman, you might realize, is the sister of Jason Bateman.
The more wildly successful brother.
But this is about his sister, not about Jason Bateman. Besides doing Family Ties, she was on Desperate Housewives, she was on Men Behaving Badly, the TV set, Californication. She was out there. She's another one of those actresses that was pretty much in everything and anything you could think of in a guest starring role. And Mallory Keaton is your very stereotypical 80s girl. She loves MTV, she loves shopping, she loves talking on the phone, she's ditzy, she couldn't care less about school, she's not the brightest, but she's a kind-hearted girl who just wants to have fun. Pretty much exactly what you could think of as an 80s material girl. That's Mallory Keaton in a nutshell. Yeah. And the last and youngest daughter was Jennifer Keaton, portrayed by Tina Yothers. Tina Yothers didn't go on to a successful career as everyone else, but not every child actor goes on to big things. Besides Family Ties, she was also in many films in the 80s and 90s because she had the right look. They would keep squeezing her in as a child actor, so you probably saw her everywhere growing up besides Family Ties. She also had a very successful band called Jaded that she performed with her brother Corey. So people should know who Tina Yothers is. The least successful probably out of everyone. She has nothing to be upset about either. She was definitely out there in Hollywood and doing her own thing. And she's a great compliment because she's much younger than the other two. The other two are high school age, while she's pretty much elementary age, so it gives a very good compliment. And she's your typical 80s girl also in that she's the tomboy. She's into sports, she's very aggressive, she doesn't take nonsense for anybody, but she's much like her parents in that she has more liberal-minded views and is adapting after them. So I like where they were going. Alex is the opposite, Jennifer's similar, and Mallory's just somewhere in the middle doing her own thing. So I do like that each kid sort of was their own layer of the family dynamic. So that's the cast of Family Ties, at least the characters that are going to appear in this episode. There are other characters that show up, but for this episode, that's all we need to know of.
So this sets up the background for our Family Ties episode, a Keaton Christmas Carol. So what we have here is a nice, loving, warm house with the family setting up the Christmas tree, at how their entire family is excited. But wait, aren't they missing someone here, Ramses?
That's right, Alex is not there. So you have the mother, the father, and the two daughters, but no Alex. And you're like, oh, where's Alex? Well, we'll see what happens. Someone looks out the window, oh, it's snowing. They're so excited. They can't set up the Christmas spirit any better than this situation. But lo and behold, the door opens.
And in enters Mr. Scrooge.
They can put a man on the moon, but they can't stop this white slop from falling out of the sky.
Oh, no, wait. I mean Alex. And you can tell he's had a bad day.
Yeah, he's just a miserable curmudgeon. He's like, oh, I hate this. I hate everybody. He's not even noticing they're all excited about the Christmas tree. He wants to cancel Christmas altogether. He thinks it's a commercial holiday, and he doesn't even want to get gifts for anybody.
Which doesn't make sense, because if he is truly an arch conservative, he'd love Christmas because let's buy gifts, let's buy everything. We come to find out that he was out getting things for the family, and he just happened to forget that he needed to get some cough medicine for Jennifer, who has a cold. And he's like, oh, I don't want to go out. I'll get it for you tomorrow. But it's quickly reminded that tomorrow's Christmas and there's nothing open on Christmas.
And that too annoys Alex. He's like, oh, I can't stand this. Listen, if you need to go to the emergency room, I'll take you. Remember the coughing moment, because that will come into play later. That's why we bring it up. So yeah, you can see where this episode is going. Alex is the biggest curmudgeon, the biggest cheapskate. Doesn't that remind you of somebody? Yes, Ebenezer Scrooge. That's where we're going with this. Alex is Ebenezer Scrooge in real life.
I was going to say Scrooge McDuck, but no.
I think we're getting a little off track. Let's get back onto the review here. So Steve tries to save the mood. A tradition they always have is taking a picture, but in a certain way, in front of the Christmas tree. Alex wants no part of this either, breaking tradition, and he just storms up the stairs and ruins everyone's pictures by making horrible comments.
Alex doesn't even want to exchange gifts. He's like, let's call it off. and I'm sitting here scratching my head because he's never like this in the episodes. He's a little over the top, but not like downright mean, I guess you would say.
Yeah, he's really mean-spirited here. I really was shocked at how over the top they went with it. It's very out of character. I don't think Alex would really act this extreme in this situation. It didn't really make sense for him to be acting this way. So now that ends the first scene, and we'll talk about some of the fun moments of the scene. This living room exterior is going to be used for the whole entire episode in different ways. And I like how they set it up. It's all Christmassy, all modern looking now, and then we'll get back to it. It's going to look different and get back to it again. So they're really going to make the best of this room, and it sets that up very well for the home audience as well here.
But now that we've set this up, let's move on to the only other set that we'll see in the entire episode, which is his bedroom.
That's right. And you might say, how is that possible? Well, stay tuned and find out. We'll show you how they pulled this one off. We're going to assume some time has passed. It's nighttime now, but they don't make that clear. Alex is in bed. He's in a horrible mood. He can't wait for Christmas to be over. And then he's disturbed by something. What bothers Alex that he can't get to sleep?
Why? They're out there caroling. Because after all, you can't have a Christmas episode where you have a Scrooge in it and not instantly yell or scream or throw something at the caroler.
Get off the lawn before I call the cops. And take the rest of those clowns with you. Oh, sorry, Reverend.
And I laughed at this too because in the 1800s, that seemed like something you could probably get away with. In 1983, I don't think you're going to open your window and start saying, "Get lost, get out of here." I don't know if that would really happen.
And by the way, folks, carolers don't come singing outside your door at 10 o'clock at night.
He's yelling at his own minister, and that's the joke of the situation. So they're really laying it on so thick here in a funny way because it's so ridiculous. It's funny.
Well, you know what, Ramses? There's one thing through this entire thing that I am always wondering about. Look at the amount of blankets he has on his bed. And then look at the amount of pajamas he's wearing.
Maybe Steven keeps the air on because he gets warm easily, right?
Yeah, they probably have the thermostat set to 55.
So now we're going to have the Scrooge situation starts. We're going to assume he's dreaming, but they don't make it clear that he's dreaming.
Well, to be fair, if we're going to go with the Christmas Carol story, he was visited by Marley. The more you look at it, the more you see that he just might not be dreaming, which was exactly like in the Christmas Carol, because you didn't know if he was dreaming or not. He even said, "You're just a figment of my imagination." Or it's a 1983 sitcom and it's funner when you actually use your own casting.
There you go. I think that explains it very well. So what's going to happen now? The ghost is going to visit him. Who's the first ghost? His younger sister, Jennifer, who comes in a red sheet covering her, smoke everywhere, and the smoke joke is going to be used a lot because the smoke is like filling up the whole room. It's like a fog. And she's gonna present herself as the ghost of Christmas past.
You can obviously see where they put the fog machine over there. You can also tell that they're using modern technology to make her appear as a ghost.
No, yeah, the effect is very bad. Alex and the background's one scene. Jennifer is all an overlaid image on top of that. You can very clearly see that's what they're doing here.
But I will give you this. This scene is actually very good because of the fact they were not there with each other doing this, and it came off so well.
So the interaction between them is actually funny because it's Jennifer, but it's not Jennifer. It's a ghostly version of Jennifer still acting like Jennifer as if she's the ghost of Christmas past, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and those little black things on her that you can't really see what they are, if you look real closely, they're actually chains to go with the motif.
Yes, Marley had the chains on it, so I guess that's what they're going for because technically they skip over the Marley aspect of this and just go right to the Ghost of Christmas Past. And they're going to skip other aspects, which we'll get to in a little bit.
And we also have a little joke here with the hithers. Come hither. You come here hither now. Hither, hither, hither. And then we see some ghostly magic, which I'm not sure it's ghostly magic, more like a ghostly sound effect.
Alex, come hither.
And then Alex just freezes his track.
And just give a little bit credit to the 1983's effects. When he finally grabs her arm and they walk out, you can't even tell that they did it in a green screen room.
It's very well done. It looked like she's phasing them through the wall and they're doing the transparent thing. Very well done for 80s effects.
And you know what? He came hither.
So now where do we wind up? Well, to get back to what Vespor was saying a second ago, we're going back to the Keaton house. You're like, what? What's the point of that? Well, Christmas Carol. We're visiting Alex's past. How far in the past? 10 years in the past. We're going to find out what life was like for the Keatons. Yeah.
And we also see that the Keatons really loved plants in the 70s. 1973.
That's right, 10 years in the past, and we got plants everywhere.
And we see that they're back in the living room. They floated out the window, I guess, to come back through the living room door.
Yeah, I guess they made like a U-turn, but I do like where they're going. They're still transparent in the scene, by the way, so they're still going with the effect that they're ghostly visitors into a past time.
And now we see baby Jennifer coming out in Elisa's arm. And if you wait for a second, you're going to notice something about this baby. And you know what that is?
No, what's that?
It's probably a Cabbage Patch doll.
So yes, no real baby. Sorry, we don't have the budget for it.
Shortly after this happens, guess what? Young Alex shows up and he's like, hey, that's me. I'm awesome. Look how awesome I am. And so what was little Alex doing for his mother?
Balancing her checkbook, yes. At 7 years old, he's already balancing her checkbook, working on her taxes. Why in December is he working on her taxes? Well, they got audited last year, so he's trying to prevent it. But he doesn't have their W-2s yet, so he's already pre-planning everything in the case that they will be audited again. So yes, funny, great nod, and they really play up on these jokes in many more episodes to come, that Alex was always like this, even as a young kid.
Which is kind of odd, even for me. You know, as a kid, I was more interested, in having fun, not balancing a checkbook.
That's our Alex for us, right? Who walks in next? Young Mallory. And what's young Mallory gonna be up to?
She wants to open gifts early, and Alex mentions that she really hasn't changed since then, at all. So, while she's pouring the drinks and getting things done, Alex wants to watch something. And what's he watching? A news report on Richard Nixon.
And further evidence emerged today linking President Nixon with the Watergate break-in of last year.
This is a witch hunt. They're persecuting an innocent man. Look at that. Is that the face of a crook?
And the mother hates that because don't forget she's a very pro-liberal, hates Richard Nixon. So again, we're already setting the mood here for what's about to happen.
Hey, who doesn't love Tricky Dick? After Elise gets Alex to stop watching the TV because it's ruining her mood, well, she has a surprise for them.
So yeah, so now we have the dynamic going on here. We have Elise and her 3 kids all awaiting something. What are they waiting for? Well, they're waiting for Santa Claus, aren't they?
Actually, what she says is she's waiting for a visitor from the north.
Oh, there he is. Yes, it did take a while for Steven to show up. All right. Oh, it's not Steven. It's Santa Claus. Oh, look at that. And it's funny here because a lot of you who might not have seen season 1, Steven didn't have a beard. So they cover this up by making him wear a beard to cover the fact that he has a beard now. So that's actually a fun slight nod here that fans might have said, but didn't he not have a beard at the time? They get around this by covering it up with the Santa outfit. So just a little bit of trivia here of why he's wearing the Santa outfit in this scene.
By the way, I absolutely love it when writers and producers remember little things like that. But now he comes down, he's like, ho, 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 and everybody's going, Dad! And he is absolutely distraught by the fact that everybody recognizes it's him and not Santa.
But it doesn't ruin the Christmas spirit. It just disappoints him that the kids no longer are fooled by it. And that is true to life too, when the kids no longer believe that you're Santa Claus.
But Steven's like, well, I can't do this with you, so I'll go over to the little baby. And guess what her first words are?
Dada.
After all, Cabbage Patch dolls didn't say Dada at the time.
No, it sure didn't. I like that this shows what life was like for this family before we got to meet them a year ago. And it shows they were all very happy. It was a wonderful family. They loved Christmas. It was just such a joy-filled time for everybody involved.
So after they get done with the babies, well, Mallory absolutely has to have a Christmas present opened early.
So what does Steven do? Steven whips out her first present, and it turns out to be one of those fake rotary phones. Mallory loves it because this is going to be, again, a cue to what she's going to be like in the future. And Alex like, oh, that's where it all started, as she's talking to nobody in particular on this fake phone. So another funny sight gag that fans of the show should appreciate.
Absolutely. And you know what? Guess who comes up with the idea of taking their pictures in front of the Christmas tree? Why, it's none other than Alex P. Keaton himself. And even his future self is like, I started this?
This is where it started. 10 years ago, Alex introduced that they all have to stand in a certain spot. The father has to be on the left, the mother on the right, Alex above her, and Mallory in the bottom. And every single time they'll do an automatic picture to capture the moment. And that's very important too, because it shows, dum-da-da-dum-da-da-dum, Alex used to love Christmas. Wow, hard to believe, right?
And yes, and you even get to see this fact when the ghost of Christmas past tells him, well, we gotta go. Why? Company rules.
Yes, and they're singing Noel, and Alex wants to be there so badly. He loved this song. He wants to hear it. We're already seeing that Alex doesn't seem to hate Christmas as much as he was letting on. He's remembering that he used to love Christmas, and it's all coming back to him again. So whatever the ghost is doing, it's very effective in getting the message across that Christmas and the family are very important, and he used to be the leader of making sure that the message of Christmas was properly portrayed.
Yes, and this is where we end this scene with them walking out and getting ready to go back to the bedroom.
Like we said at the beginning, there's a reason why Alex is this humbug. There's no way he hates Christmas, and here's the proof. And you need to remember that, yeah, Christmas is associated that time of year, not what I was making it out to be. Very important scene. Very great. I loved all the little nods with the Nixon and the phone Mallory was using. And I loved how they covered up the beard of the father, like I said. That was very important, too. I think the only silly parts was the porcelain baby and the da-da dubbed in voice. I think that was a little silly and schlocky.
That's perfectly fine. This is an 80s sitcom. What do you expect?
Exactly. So now we're going to go back to, where else? Alex's bedroom.
And Alex is like, we need to go back. And she's...
I'm sorry. You can't go home again. Well, here we are, home again.
So we started off with that.
Alex is like, all right, thanks a lot, get lost, get out of here. His night is just beginning because, as you know, in the Christmas Carol, there was 3 ghosts that visited him, 4 if we go by his original ghosts. 4 ghosts that visited him, and he's only seen 1 so far. So I guess that means there's going to be 2 more ghosts visiting him.
Perhaps. We know at least there's going to be at least 1 more ghost. And why do we know there's going to be at least 1 more ghost? Well, we're halfway through the episode.
So who's the next ghost that shows up as Alex shoes off for Jennifer Ghost?
Well, if we go by the actual story of Christmas Carol, he should be actually talking to the ghost of Christmas presents. So let's see which ghost pops up now.
All right, let's see what we get. And it's Mallory, wearing black, though. That doesn't seem right. She claims to be the ghost of Christmas future. But for the ghost of Christmas future, yes, she should be wearing black. So what happened? I guess since we already saw what his life was like in the present, we don't need to go there. And like Vespor said, we're running out of time, so I guess we gotta just fast forward to the future to see what life will be like if he doesn't better his way.
She's obviously not deaf. That's for certain. She's Mallory. I mean, I can never see her as a scary, overbearing figure of destruction.
No, definitely not, because in every story, the ghost is always the Grim Reaper, pretty much, but Mallory is just wearing a black robe and smiling.
And also, death doesn't talk. Mallory here does.
Yes, you can't get her shut up, actually. So yes, they're going to skip over the present, but again, we saw that what his present life is like anyway, so I guess technically we don't need to, but I would have liked to, if they gone to another location so we could see why Alex is so frustrated. That would have been a great use of the present, the ghost of present, showing what happened before Alex actually returned home.
All right, so now that Ghost of Christmas Future is here, Mallory, we have to, of course, go back to our old jokes of come hither, come hither.
That's right. And another old joke is used with the smoke filling the room. And what does Alex say? I hope they get me a smoke detector. And how does Mallory convince Alex to go with him?
She jams her elbow into his back.
You have no choice.
And of course, he immediately is like, okay, and just grabs her arm.
And then they go through the wall again. And I will say just about this scene, like I said, I do wish they did something with the present. I think that's what was missing here.
Well, I would say that the reason they didn't do it was because if you saw why he was in such a bad mood, he'd immediately reflect and go, oh, well, I guess I shouldn't have been mad since he was driving on Christmas Eve like a fool.
Right, exactly.
And getting cut off, living in Columbus, Ohio. I'd be in a bad mood too.
Yeah, exactly. So the scene is fun, and I like that Mallory now is the ghost of Christmas future. It's just funny. It's a great way to get to the future because, let's be honest, the future moments is the funniest part of the episode.
Oh, absolutely. Everything's just building up to this over-the-top future scene. So guess what? Remember, with your traveling with ghosts, you have to walk out the window to come back in once again the front.
So now we're in the future.
In the future, there's apparently boxes and trunks and laundry everywhere.
This is, yeah, a little strange. So I guess they become paupers and they're living in the house somehow. They're squatting maybe. I don't know the whole story here. The house is in horrible condition. It looks like it's been run down and there's laundry hanging everywhere. No one's in the house yet as the ghosts arrive.
Yes, and of course, once we arrive, Alex inquires, what's this? What's happened to the house? And then eventually he comes to find out from Ghost of the Christmas Future Mallory that his family ran upon hard times, and he inquires about himself. Well, what about me? He goes like, oh, you're rich.
Yeah, and he's really happy about that at least. I mean, he's a little concerned about his family, but at least he's doing well. Typical Alex fashion. So who's the first character to walk in here? Oh yeah, it's Elise. Oh my god, what happened to her? She looks terrible.
Oh god, she stole the Christmas tree from Charlie Brown.
Yeah, pretty much that's accurate. She's wearing rags. She's wearing like a half-destroyed quilt for a shirt. Her hair is all ratty, and she looks like she hasn't bathed in days. They've fallen on very hard times. Wow, this is terrible.
And we come to find out, after Alex inquires, now they make ends meet by doing laundry.
Oh, so that's why there's laundry hanging everywhere.
They're doing their best to get by, And Alex is, of course, wondering about his family and then always inquiring about how rich he actually is.
Exactly. He's more concerned about money. So Steven walks in and he's coughing and hacking. He's on a cane and he's all absent-minded. He's not himself anymore. And he looks just as disheveled as poor Elise. And then Mallory walks in. I'm like, oh, there's Mal. Uh-oh. Mallory seems to put on a little weight there. What's going on here?
But we find out she's not fat. She's actually pregnant.
Oh, well, that's nice that she's going to have a kid. Oh, we find out more here. What is this?
Where's her husband?
Oh, he's in debtor's prison. You put him there. He couldn't repay the money you lent him for his grandmother's operation.
That's how it goes. I still don't know how they're in their house. I guess they're squatting or they actually paid it off before their financial ruin. I don't know.
We return to the running gag of almost choking and clotheslining ourselves, literally, with Elise hitting that rope time and time again to come and see the youngest, which is
Jennifer. Yes, so Jennifer comes home, and there's something you should know because we mentioned before. Remember, Alex didn't get her cough medicine. 30 years later, she still has that cough, all because
this strange disease
that Alex didn't cure. Oh,
with cough medicine. And guess what her job is, Ramses?
She has a wheelbarrow, and she's selling dirt. Yes, she's a dirt salesman.
Yes, and what else does the wheelbarrow use for?
That's their car also. It's the only means of transportation that they have because they don't own anything else but that wheelbarrow. It's funny, the Keatons became hillbillies pretty much. All because of, that's right, Alex's future self caused his family to lose everything. And that's where this is all going because Alex lost the spirit of Christmas in 1983.
That's right, because his family is suffering and he's living in New York, and in fact, here in a moment, literally flies here in a helicopter and lands in their front yard.
They're really laying it on so thick, and we're laughing. I think this is the funniest part of the whole episode.
Oh, it is.
Because it's so over-the-top ridiculous that you have to laugh.
Before he lands, though, we have to take a moment to decorate the tree. And so, Steven, in his magnanimous self, bought one string of tinsel.
Oh, that's so nice. He must have spent a fortune on that. Well, actually, he did, because Alex charged him full price for that one piece of tinsel. But at least he didn't charge him more, so that was very nice of Alex. So yes, that's the design on this Christmas tree that they have here. And I'm laughing because this is so ridiculous. How is Alex a millionaire and his family is impoverished like this? I mean, this is just so crazy that I could never imagine Alex doing this to his family.
Oh, absolutely. It's time for the helicopter landing. And he lands in their front yard and on top of their wheelbarrow.
Oh boy, really laying out thick. So now this is the big moment you're all waiting for. You're like, what the hell does Alex look like in 2013? Probably like a rich man. He's probably all well decked out. He probably looks great. Well, we're not going to leave the suspense anymore. This is what Alex looks like.
Drum roll, please. Now, enter Alex.
And yeah, Alex might be well off, but he looks horrible. He's this pot-bellied guy wearing a brown business suit with a brown tie. He's bald, a shiny bald. Yep.
He looks like a fat cat. And no, not that fat cat.
Very well. And again, the effects are a little weird. You can see it's definitely a plastic skull cap that they put over his hair. But it's so funny because that's the effect they're going for. It's crazy. Jennifer still looks like a kid wearing old person makeup. Alex looks like a kid still wearing old person makeup. And it's funny. It's very effective that the scene is done this way. And Alex is this jerk. Yeah, he's exactly what you would expect him to be after all the descriptions we got. And he's only there for one reason. He's not there to visit the family. He's not there to help out the family. He's there to drop off his laundry because he wants them to get it done. As he's on his way to Las Vegas, he decided to stop off in Columbus.
Absolutely. And we also get to see the family actually kisses up to this Alex, who absolutely refuses to give them any money or help other than doing his laundry. As a matter of fact, Mallory has apparently named her last 4 children Alex in his honor to try to get him to give them some money and help them.
No matter what they do, he laughs at them, he insults them, he doesn't even want to be in their presence. He acts like he's doing them a favor by even showing up for a moment to help them, but it doesn't really help them. He just wants them to do the laundry and he insults them. I can't imagine a future actually going like that. That's how over the top.
I mean, he even tells them that he doesn't respect them at all.
Destroys their little twig by throwing his coat over it. I mean, this is as bad as you can get a person to become. They even have a line where the father is all nervous talking to Alex, and Alex is like, what's your problem? And he's like, oh, we're just trying to survive. We're just trying to get by.
Are you still harping about losing your job?
No, I thought it over and I decided you were right to fire me.
They're laying this on so thick, it's terrible.
Dude, all I'm going to say is the future Alex of this is 10 times meaner than Mr. Scrooge from the actual book.
So the real Alex is very upset about this. He does not want this to be his future. This is a horrible fate. Even he realizes he's the worst person imaginable that you can become.
And one of the worst things he's worried about is the fact that he's bald.
Yes, he's very obsessive with the fact that he's bald and he looks terrible. And that's funny because a young kid would be worried about that. So I think that's also the joke, that you don't want to lose your hair when you're in your 40s. And I think every guy goes through that. And the scene ends. And I love this scene. This is probably the best scene in the whole episode just because of how over the top they were laying us on. I'm sure the writers were having a blast coming up with some of these jokes here.
Oh, absolutely. This is one of the more funnier outtakes of it. The fact that he actually isn't like a dead and dying, nobody loves him. It's the fact that he's so rich and successful he doesn't have time for anybody else. It's actually a wonderful play on the Christmas Carol.
I think it's such a great twist. It is so Alex. It's like the extreme version of Alex that could happen if everything went wrong in his life.
We, of course, fade back from the living room of the future.
Right, they make that U-turn again. Here we are, back into Alex's room. And Alex didn't like what he saw. He's very upset. I gotta do whatever it takes. Christmas is tomorrow. I still have time. I can fix this now. And he's going to do whatever it takes to fix it.
After all, he doesn't want anybody to dig dirt while he's alive. He doesn't want them to be anything like that. He still loves them. But also because this is a sitcom, you always have to throw in the jokes with.
And yeah, it pretty much wraps up where Alex is like, what can I do? What can I do? And Mallory goes to the future, says, pretty much just change your ways. Remember your family, love everyone, don't only prioritize money, and don't forget to massage your scalp. And he promises, I will. Fade to smoke again, and we hope Alex learned a lesson here. You know, there's something that we should notice about the scene. The clock, what time is it still showing after all this time has passed?
Midnight.
Yeah, so the clock is not moving from midnight.
Which would mean that this is actually a dream.
So there probably are little clues here to show that this is not really happening, and it's all vision in his head.
Which also proves one other fact.
Yes.
Alex P. Keaton has a conscience.
But I love that scene. It really brings everything together. Such a funny moment, and now we're going to see, did Alex learn anything? That's the whole wrap up of the show here. We're going to find out as the last scene of the episode is about to take place.
So now, fade back into the Keaton household in the present. And they're all waking up on Christmas morning. They're all excited. Mallory and everybody else wants to open up a gift. And you know what? The dad says, all right, fine. I'll go ahead and open up my gifts.
Right, so nice little twist on everything. Mallory's still acting like her young self. The father still as an immature as always. I love it. Great little side joke there. Where is Alex? That's the question of the day.
He went out early this morning, but what did he do? Where did he go?
I don't know. We'll find out in a second. The doorbell rings and they're all surprised. Who could that be? So Steven opens it up and it's quote-unquote Santa Claus. But they know it's Alex right away. And Alex says, boy, I can't fool you anymore. Twisting the joke that Steven had 10 years ago on his kids.
I always love the continuity of these episodes when they do things like that.
So yes, Alex as Santa Claus, well, at least with the hat and the beard. Let's not get carried away here. He has a bag and he has gifts. Wow, this is great. Alex really did learn something. Yeah, he went to get gifts and it's great. We're going to find out what gifts he bought him.
But he reminds them all that since it's Christmas morning, the only place that was open was a 7-Eleven.
Oh, well, at least it's the thought that counts. We actually remembered every gift that he bought here, and it's actually funny because it's 7-Eleven themed gifts, and it's the thought that counts.
The true meaning of Christmas isn't in the receiving of the gifts, it's in the spirit of how you offer the gifts to them with your sincerity. Alex is actually very sincere about giving these gifts.
So just to tell you what Alex wound up getting everybody at 7-Eleven, he got a cup of coffee for Steven Keaton. He got some beef jerky from Ellie. For Elise Keaton, he got a TV guide, last copy by the way, and it looks like it because this is in horrible shape, the one that he gives her. So he got Jennifer the most important gift, and this again comes back to play with a note from the beginning of the episode. A 6-pack of soda? No, a 6-pack of cough syrup so that she could cure that cough once
Wait a second. I lived through the 80s. I don't remember them ever selling 6 packs of cough syrup, do you?
No, I don't. This is news to me.
Well, it's 7-Eleven. What do you expect? It's in Columbus, Ohio, so who knows?
Yes, we'll just go with it. Last but not least, he got himself, and Mallory finds this in the bag because Alex didn't want to reveal it, some ointment to prevent baldness called Bald No More. So there you go. Again, the joke comes back to play that Alex is more worried about his lack of hair in the future, and he took care of that.
After he gives them the 7-Eleven gifts, he gives them the other gifts, and this is the gift that keeps on giving. He got their clothes taken care of at the 1-hour laundromat.
Alex seemed to learn a lot, and he's thanking Jennifer and Mallory for everything they taught him. And they're looking at each other like, what is going on here?
Look, and even Jennifer's like, what?
They think he's crazy. So yeah, it really came back to play very nicely. I love the full circleness of the episode.
And then the next thing that we were come to find out is, remember all those carolers that he towed off? Well, guess what? he got them to come back in the morning and sing.
I think that's wonderful that they even play on that. Again, I still think it's ridiculous that he told them off, but very nice that he even made up with them too to end the situation properly.
But now that we have the Christmas carolers back, we have to go back to the tree, because that's the most important thing, because we started with the tree, so let's end with the tree. And at the beginning, Alex wanted nothing to do with the tree, so he finally suggests, hey, let's get our picture taken just like how we used to.
And again, we don't know if Alex was dreaming. We don't know if this really happened. We don't know if it was vision. Either way, Alex remembered how it was in the past. He learned what the future can be. And now he realizes how much you have to appreciate your family in the present. And they all stand in their usual poses for the tree, as was done for 10 years. And that's how the episode ends. And it's a great ending, a great way to wrap everything up. We learned a lot of lessons, and it was a lot of fun and lots of laughs too here during this.
Well, one of the lessons I learned from this episode is that if you back into it, you keep it. That's how they found the Christmas tree.
And with that all said and done, it is time to now give our final thoughts and review on the episode, A Keaton Christmas Carol, Season 2 episode of Family Ties. And this has been a lot of fun. I know I enjoyed it, but as always, our Christmas master, our leader of the holidays, gets to go first. Vespor, what was your thoughts on A Keaton Christmas Carol?
Well, my thoughts on the Keaton Christmas Carol was it was a wonderful Christmas episode. They had things that let you know it was Christmas, like actual honest Christmas music, like Noel and We Three Merry Gentlemen. The settings are perfect. You have a very light-hearted take on A Christmas Carol, and it has the same message of learn to love others other than just yourself. And this is as good a Christmas episode as you're going to get. It's a little bit satirical in scenes, but the message is there. I absolutely love it, and because of it, I'm actually going to give this episode a 4 out of 5. And the reason I give this one a 4 out of 5 is because it really was a true, in the spirit, holiday special, a Christmas episode, if there ever was one, that taught all the good morals that you need to know about. God bless everyone, and Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Very well said, Vespor. I love this episode. I thought it was great. It's hard to believe this was a Season 2 episode because this is really before the series got into its own. And Season 3 is when the show really took off. But you can see why the show is getting popular because the characters were all very unique. They were very situated in how they're going to act, and they started to play off on that. And what better way to use those personalities than a Keaton-related view of A Christmas Carol? I think this was great. I had a lot of fun. We have the Scrooge coming home all mad. Alex is in a horrible mood. You know that he's going to get the Scrooge treatment. And his sister's visiting his ghost, and he learns a lot of lessons. It was so great. I could see the writers having so much fun in the writing room as they're creating the situations. We have the wholesome family get-together in the past. The family's so happy. Every single character acting exactly like how they do 10 years earlier. It was brilliant. And then we have the future, the most craziest, the most evilest, the most satirical version of a future that you can imagine, where Alex is so cold-hearted and so evil and so devious that he's going to let his family live in squalor while he drops off his laundry to go fly to Las Vegas. I mean, it's hilarious. I was laughing a lot. I, too, am going to give this 4 stars. I think it's really a great episode. This is exactly how you want to spend the holidays. Everyone knows A Christmas Carol, and it's been spoofed so many times, and this series did it right. And at the end, Alex learns the spirit of Christmas. That's the important part of the episode. And we see that Alex is not this bad guy. He can learn, he can change, and he can overcome his shortcomings.
But that being said, please have a wonderful holiday season and many more to come.
That's right. We here on Vesper's Retro Reviews hope it's a happy, healthy, wonderful. Thank you again for joining us, 2022. We have a lot more coming as we get into Season 3 in March. Thank you so much for joining us on Vesper's Retro Reviews. Happy holidays, everybody. Please comment, like, subscribe, and
ring that bell, especially if you like us. I mean, it's the holiday season after all.
Thanks to all from Vespor and Ramsis. We'll see you all next time. Vesper's Retro Reviews. Happy holidays, everybody. Ho, ho, ho.
Have a Merry Christmas, everybody.